Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are all of you doing?
Great.
Good. So we will start with different design styles for combinational logic today. In the last class, we had looked at different kinds of optimizations that one can do for combinational CMOS, static CMOS design. So can someone just quickly recap for me what kind of optimizations we were looking at in the last class?
So using asymmetric gates.
Okay, we said we may want to use asymmetric gates. Why do we want to use asymmetric gates, Debrit? What is the benefit?
So because some inputs may come later, so we would want them to be connected to the gates that are having lower logical effort so that the delays are minimized.
Yes, so that the delay on that critical path is reduced. Okay. What else? What other optimizations did we talk about? अगर अभी से प्राइस को जरूरत है तो क्या होगा?
Sir, the delayed input should be placed near to the node and the output node, and also we discussed that we can skew our gate so that to favor one kind of output. Two things.
So
these are.
first thing we discussed was that the input order can be chosen so that the gates or the inputs which are arriving late are closer to the output so that their delay is overall lesser. So the critical path delay contribution of this particular gate that we are designing is reduced. And then Deepank, thank you for also adding that we would skew the gates. Why would we skew the gates?
Suppose if we are sensing something, then we need so that in like if we are sensing we pre-charge two nodes, and we need to sense that only one node goes down. So we need to make the NMOS stronger in that case, so that we get a perfect kind of output. Delay is less or some kind of things.
Yeah. In state machines, there could be situations where one particular input is expected to quickly go up. You know, as soon as clock arrives, this should happen. As soon as the signal arrives, that should happen. So because we know that everything else can be set up in advance, this is the signal which will arrive the last, and we want this transition to be the steepest one, to be the sharpest one. Rising transition to be the sharpest one. The falling transition can be slow. We are not on the critical path in the falling transition. So when there is such sensitivity to this kind of transition, then we would skew gates. And we were discussing that there were some challenges of skewing gates. What were those challenges that we brought up?
Size of the noise margin gets affected.
The noise margin would get impacted. Okay. Anything else? Any other challenge in terms of using all these modification on gates? Any other thing that you could think of?
Layout might be difficult.
Okay, layout would be tricky. So good. I'm very happy that you are now starting to think of layout as the first thing that could be impacted. Very good. I'm very happy. Then
delays are obviously
time period.
Time period. Which time period?
The total time period which we looked into.
Delays. Okay. Yeah. So the delays may be reduced in one particular case. For example, when we are using asymmetric gates, then the delay for this fast or the last arriving input to output is reduced. But it is not always that this will be the last arriving input. It could be that another input arrives late only 10% of time. So in those 10% of cycles, that delay would be larger now. Additionally, area can also be larger, especially when we said that we would reduce the size of one of the gates to reduce its logical effort. The other gate, you remember, had to be sized up so much. We reduced one of the NMOSes of a NAND gate to 3x4, to 4x3. And the other NMOS had to be increased to what size?
4.
Just so that we have a same equivalent resistance. So the overall NMOS size now became 4 and 3 by 4, whereas it was earlier only 4. You remember all that? So where do we want to do all these optimizations? Would you do this optimization in a standard cell library, or you would do these optimizations in some particular path or something? Where would you want to do all these additional optimizations that we talked about?
So particular paths, sir, wherever we want this to happen. Exactly.
So this cannot be a part of standard cell library.
Yes.
When you are designing a path, then you can kind of do these custom optimizations so that your path is faster. Where would you get an opportunity to design such paths? By hand, that is.
Analog.
Sequential designs.
Not much. Analog में तो digital थोड़ा सा ही रहता है. Not much.
Sir, in the M2 layer, sir, where my wires are running, because that will give me my
But
connections to
how
the.
will you okay, so when you are making your M2 layer, how will you change the device size, Vaishnav?
Sir, the device which is generating the signal to the M2 layer over there.
Yeah, but we are talking of optimizations in the device sizes, na?
So the packages that can be used in the digital design directly. Let's say,
For example, memories.
multiplier.
Multipliers, yes, multipliers, adders. So these are macros. These are IPs that are built which a system designer would directly use. So when you're designing an adder, then you could do these optimizations there, because in an adder, you know that carry will come last. Carry in will come last. You know that propagate is made by a XOR gate, by a NAND gate, and generator is made by a NOR gate, and then you know, okay, NOR will be slower. So you can do all these optimizations. Also, when you are making, so while we say that these arithmetic circuits you can do and standard arithmetic circuits can be improved, you will notice that in the ALU path in microprocessors. So in Intel, if you would get hired at Intel, then you would, and if you are in the ALU team, you will see that even if you're not designing a adder or a multiplier or something specific, even then they are continuously observing and seeing how to reduce these, how to make these optimizations and reduce the delays. Okay. Otherwise, in macro designs. So one of you did say analog circuits, but analog circuits mein digital part is not significant. Analog people are more concerned, you will notice, about their figures of merit, which are jitter, which are phase noise margin, and all those things. So they are not really focused as much on what is the digital delay, or if it is like, they're not really worried about that. In digital circuits like adders, multipliers, these kind of optimizations can have a significant impact, and that is where you would want to probably do it. Okay. So we now come to the next set of our combinational logic, where we talk about what kind of combinational logic we would be interested to look at. For example, ratioed logic. So long back. So see, one challenge with static CMOS is that for n number of inputs, you have 2n number of devices. And of those 2n devices also, the PMOS, that is the half of those 2n devices, n devices are also larger. Are you able to see this? In a NAND gate, 2-input NAND gate, how many devices do we have? 2-input NAND gate, how many devices do we have? Four devices. In a NOR gate, how many do we have? 2-input NOR gate?
4 only, sir.
Again 4. So at least 2n devices are there in static CMOS. And what about the size of NMOS and PMOS there? So in the NOR gate, the PMOS size is 4 times that of the NMOS size. In a NAND gate, it is equivalent to an NMOS size in a 2-input NAND gate. So what do? Now we want to look for, is there a way to reduce the total number of devices? Why do we want to reduce the total number of devices? What's the importance of reducing number of devices?
Area reduction.
Yes, And in VLSI, area is
Gold, sir.
gold. We want to save gold. So we want to reduce area, come whatever may. So now we will look at a few methods, a few techniques to reduce area. By, for example, in this particular slide, you will see completely doing away with the pull-up network, for example. So what do? Instead of all those PMOSs, I will just put one resistive load. What's the problem with one resistive load?
Control loss, sir.
What do you mean?
We can't charge our output whenever we want. Exactly. It will be always charging.
Leakage.
Fabrication is difficult.
Okay. So when you say that instead of static CMOS, I will put any other load, whether it is resistive load or depletion load or PMOS load, since that load is always on. Since that load is always on, what happens? We will observe leakage. We will observe continuous static current from VDD to VSS. And different types of designs were proposed, resistive loads. So in technologies when PMOSs were not available, then resistive loads or depletion loads were the only options to be used. Once the PMOSs started to become available, then PMOS loads were used. But these PMOS loads were always on. Now, we just saw that by using these always on loads or resistances and depletion loads, what is the challenge that we expect? That the output will not go to pure zero. Cannot, because PMOS is always on. Some current will come either from RL or the PMOS or the depletion load that we have put. Are you with me on this? Any questions still here? Hello? You can put a +1 or something in the chat window if you don't want to unmute and speak. No? I will not move forward until I get a feedback.
Sir,
Okay.
one thing, sir, if
Yes.
the load is big enough, then we can obtain kind of a clear zero.
Yes. So what will be the challenge then if the load is, suppose this resistive load is very resistive? Then I will get an almost good zero. But what is the challenge?
Sir, current will be low.
Charging would be
Charging
Current will be less.
Yes.
So when I have to take F to 1, that will be very slow. Are you able to see
Yes.
this? The charging will be very slow then. So you cannot really keep the resistance to be extremely high also. And moreover, if you want to keep the resistance to be very high, if you have a real resistance there, then that resistance will take a lot of area. If you have a PMOS there or a depletion load there, okay, area may not be that much impacted, but you will have, in all the three cases, whether it is resistance or transistors, you will have much larger rise times. So one thing we already discussed, that the noise margin would degrade. The low voltage will not be zero. Low voltage will be in the ratio of resistance of the P network upon resistance of the resistance of the pull down network upon resistance of the pull down network plus RL. And the propagation delay will also, in the case of rising, be dependent on RL. So if you make very large resistance, then the rise time will be very, very large. So this is not really a good way to design, but you see, we save lots of area. So we may want to design it somewhere. So these are the active loads where we have, in this case, a NMOS only technology, and in this case, a PMOS load. So in our technologies, we always have PMOS. So we may want to do it like this. But we see that there are obvious challenges. If, for example, I have a pseudo NMOS design where they have a PMOS load, because it is small and everything, I have a PMOS load, then what happens? Then when just one of these inputs is on, the other three are off, at that point of time, the current that is sunk from here will be the ratio of current sunk from here, or the resistance of the PMOS stack, and the ratio of the NMOS stack, resistance of the NMOS stack, will be such that my VOL will be different. So you will see that as my more and more transistors in that NOR gate turn on, I will get a I will get a better zero.
So
Are you able to see this?
not exactly, sir. I mean, why VOA is changing here?
Okay. So let us say the PMOS resistance is 10K. And NMOS resistance is also 10K. Let us say 10K nahi kahenge. Let us say NMOS resistance is 2K. Each of these NMOSs has resistance 2K. So when all 4 of my NMOSs are on, what is the effective NMOS resistance?
2/4.
500 ohms. 500 ohms.
So what is the value of VOL? Approximately?
So the voltage at the load basically.
1/5 of VDD.
1/5 of VDD by 500 by 10,500, no?
Okay, yes.
Approximately VDD by 19. VDD by 21. So almost even within 5% of VDD. Okay. Now let us say only one of them is on. Then what is happening? Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Hello.
But why won't we, for example, if we know that we are using a pseudo NMOS, then we can design a PMOS also to be that equivalent resistance like happens for the
कितना बनाओगे? चलो, tell me ना. Tell me a value. How much would you want the PMOS resistance to be? See,
like
finally, ideally, you would want equal resistance on PMOS and NMOS so that you have almost equal delays for rise and fall.
yes, sir.
So मैंने तो अभी बहुत खराब बनाया. I've made it 10K. Whereas NMOSs are 2K. So my rise time will be 5 times more than fall time already. You propose what number would you want to use? Let us use that. I have no problem. Let us find out with that number. Tell me.
So if we use 2K for the PMOS,
PMOS?
also. Yes, sir.
Let us use 2K for the PMOS. Then what happens when all the 4 outputs are 1?
Okay, and it will be
Same 500.
So output will be then at VDD by 4.
yeah, yes, sir. Okay.
Now let us say when 1 is only 1,
Then it will be
it will not work for you.
okay.
Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
So when we do, so what this also means is that when we do ratio logic design, pseudo NMOS, pseudo PMOS, the way we size the NMOS and PMOS has a very significant impact on VOL and all those things. And that is what is shown in this slide. That as you size your PMOS up, what happens? You reduce the PMOS resistance, but my VOL reduced. My fall time increased significantly. Are you able to see this? This is exactly the same discussion you were having just now.
Yes.
So, not very interesting, very complex, in the sense that if while we save area, we save a lot of area actually. All the PMOSs are gone. So in that NOR gate, imagine the PMOSs would have, if the NMOS is sized 1, the PMOSs would have been sized, it's a 4 input thing. What would have been the size of the PMOSs? Hello?
4 times the size of
4 times.
8 times.
16 times. It's a
16,
4
sir,
input.
16, sir.
4 input thing.
Yeah, 16, sir.
So 16 into 4, you've saved how much? 64 units out of total 68 units.
Yeah.
Huge area saving, but much more complex, much less noise immune. So what do? We say, okay, and much less noise immune. Additionally, the rise time and fall times are very skewed and everything. So then the idea was, okay, let us do one thing where we say that during an active cycle, I will have an additional PMOS which would turn on. So what does this PMOS do? During the rise time, it would take it up fast, but when the system is falling, so initially it will fall to only say, let us say VDD by 4, but then once this PMOS goes off, enable goes high again, then this would fall to 0, almost 0, because this is very resistive. We can do that. Hello?
Sir, I
Can
didn't
you
understand
repeat?
this
Can you
point.
repeat this, sir?
Sorry?
Can you repeat this?
Yeah. So what do you want? In the earlier case, we saw that first, if I keep the PMOS to be very resistive, my rise time would be very bad. Okay, the 16% and 5% is fine. I'm not worried. So to get a good rise time, what do I want? I wanted the PMOS to be 2K. But with 2K, this was the kind of values I was getting on my output. Unacceptable. So what to do? So the idea is that in parallel to this 10K resistance, put another resistance, put another PMOS, which is slightly larger, so that effective PMOS resistance is now 2K. Okay. Now when the evaluation is on, so this PMOS will be on only during the evaluation period. When the evaluation is on, my effective PMOS resistance is only 2K, so the rise will also be fast. But once the evaluation closes, I would come to this 10K wala scenario. And then my output would be at 5% VDD and 16% VDD. So I get the best of both worlds. Are you able to see this now?
So, but we would have to add some logic for enable signal also.
Yes, but that you can, my circuit is to be evaluated. I'm now evaluating my combinational circuit. So at a global level, you can add one signal.
Okay.
At a global level, you add one signal, but overall you save.
So at the VO and at the output, I want the exact VDD pair. So this 16 and 5% I shouldn't get now. I mean, I should get the exact VDD.
No, but VDD you will get.
Yeah, but I'm getting with this variation like 5% and 16%.
Yeah, that is dependent on inputs. That is the challenge with ratioed logic. But even 16% of VDD, which means it will still be considered as 0, much lower than VDD by 2.
Okay.
And much lower than VDD by 2. The other case is where the problem is.
Sir, what do you mean by evaluation phase exactly, sir?
What do you think I mean?
Sir, should it be when should my NMOS be at higher logic? When do we want our output to change? I don't know, sir.
No. Imagine. Logical, I'm not used a term which you do not know. In English, you know, na? In English meaning क्या होगा evaluation का?
Whenever we want our output to be 0 or 1, according to the circuit definition.
I want my output to be 0 and 1 at all times, Vaishnav. Because otherwise there will be large amounts of currents flowing.
Yes, sir.
So something else. What else could be enabled for? What else would this evaluation mean? Anyone else who can help Vaishnav there? What do you think evaluation would mean?
The charging and discharging phase. The transition time of the charging and the discharging when it's happening.
Okay. That is the evaluation. That is the time when your gate is getting transitions at inputs, and you want to evaluate what is the output.
Yes, I think so.
है ना? So in a synchronous system, when the clock comes, that is when most of the gates toggle. That is when most of the inputs will toggle, because the flip-flop will give outputs only at that time. Otherwise, flip-flops will also have their output stable, is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
So you can say after the clock comes, I will have a 20 or 200 picosecond enable pulse, so that all the combinational gates in my system would evaluate. Can it be done?
Yes, sir.
So that is what we mean.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
So adaptive load means that during the evaluation phase, you have additional PMOS which is turned on, so that rise, wherever signals have to rise, they can rise quickly. Because the output of this signal S, this gate S, has to go elsewhere also, is it not? So there is a path. We're just not designing one gate, we are designing a path. So wherever this goes, then it will do its own action there. Yes, Deepank?
So I have a doubt that we are switching the enable PMOS, right? And we are saying that it has to be much larger than M2. But I thought that since M2 is the one which is always on, and during the falling phase, to save the leakage, M2 should be larger since M1 will be off then.
During the static phase, when nothing is working.
No, when we need the low output.
So you do not know what the inputs are now, because if you do not know the inputs, how can you tell the outputs? You can only tell whether it is an evaluation phase or not.
No, sir. My doubt is, suppose one of the input is high.
No,
and
Deepank, step back. This is a NOR gate, 4-input NOR gate. If you have to make the control of this PMOS based on the inputs itself, then you are actually going for a static CMOS implementation, aren't you?
Right.
You will have to put a gate to generate enable signal now.
Okay.
The entire effort is to save area.
Right.
है ना?
But then
You want to save area, so enable is to be generated irrespective of any input change.
Okay.
Clock comes, you generate input. You generate enables because you know now evaluations have to happen.
So we just needed to save the rise delay in this case, and saving area also.
Yeah.
Not leakage. Leakage is not the focus here.
No, leakage is saved because in the static case now only M2 is on. See, why wouldn't you not have made M2 much larger?
Okay.
Had you made M2 much larger, static power would have increased significantly.
Right, sir.
Now you've actually saved leakage by this method without compromising on rise time. You've done both now.
Right, sir. Right. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is this point clear to everyone?
So, sir, in effect, we are trying to basically, with this effort, we are trying to make the delays again same, like the rise delay equal to the fall delay. This is what we are trying to do.
Yes. That is what our attempt is.
Okay.
That is what our attempt is, that rise time and rise delay and fall delay should be almost equal, because if they are not, then at a system level, you have to put in a huge penalty in terms of managing setups and holds.
Yes, sir. So because earlier the fall was already less, so we had to make.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is the adaptive load. Then this is very interesting. This is same kind of circuit, but instead of putting this PMOS to be always on, you are making a differential output logic. You're making a differential output logic where you say that instead of PMOS being controlled statically by a at 0 or something, and then me putting two PMOSs in parallel, adaptive load, whatever, if I anyway need both the polarities of an input, of an output, Huh? If I already need both the polarities of an output, then let me use this DC VSL logic, where what happens? We actually get full zero, and we actually get full ones and also full zeros. Because why? Suppose out bar has to go to 1. When out bar has to go to 1, what happens? This PMOS will turn off. So out will go to a clean 0. Out going to clean 0 means this PMOS is fully on. And this 1 will be strengthened. So noise immunity is also recovered, and you also save area. You can have these M1 and M2 large enough so that delays for rising and falling are similar. Are you able to see this?
Sir, I have a doubt in adaptive load, sir, in the
Okay.
previous.
Yeah.
Sir, my doubt is that why can't we give the enable bar to the both PMOS, sir?
So when the enable goes away, then what will, and suppose you wanted to store a 1 on the output,
Yes, sir.
what will hold the 1?
Sir, if my none of my inputs is on, then that should be a floating thing, right?
So you want to go to dynamic design then. You want to store something on a capacitor and leave it floating. Then that will be called dynamic design, Vaishnav.
Okay, sir. Okay.
We're talking about static design, that every node is held at some value.
Okay.
Nothing is floating.
Okay, nothing floating. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So any comments on the improved load thing?
How we are able to maintain a like clean 0 there, sir? Clean
Okay,
0.
let us look at this example. I have a XOR gate. Let us say A is equal to 1, B is equal to 1. Both are 1. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 0, this is 0. Okay. So what happens? This stack is completely off. There is a discharge path from here.
Yes, sir.
So what is happening? Out will go to 0, want to go to 0 at least.
Yes, sir.
As out wants to go to 0, gets discharged from here. What happens? It turns this PMOS fully on, or just starts to turn it on. Let us look at it like that only. What happens? This node goes to 1 because the NMOS stack of this node is off. You see, here it is 0, so it is off, and over here it is 0, so it is off. So because this goes to 1, it can easily go to 1 now. This PMOS turns off.
Yes, sir.
If this PMOS turns off, then this NMOS stack will fully discharge out to 0.
Okay, because there won't be only discharging thing happening, nothing.
See, why was it not able to go to 0? Because the PMOS was also on, it was static on.
Yes, sir.
Now we have removed that.
So, but like how we will be able to ensure that the rise and the fall time will be equal here, there? I mean, discharge will happen, but would that there would be difference in the rise and fall time?
You can size the PMOSs accordingly.
Okay. Right.
Rise and fall time is or rise and fall delays are a measure of your delays, na? Of your, what do you say? PMOS size, na?
Yes, sir.
See, one thing is clear. The rise will happen only after the 0 has been written. That is evident. Am I right? Unless a 0 is there, 1 cannot be written. Are you able to see this? Debajit, you have a question.
Yes, sir. Sir, this in this differential cascade thing, sir, I think this example is very favorable to this particular design, right? Because I was thinking of, let's say, NAND gate. In that case, PDN1 and PDN2 designing would be very tough, right?
No, they will largely be duals of each other.
but then rise time fall time matching would be difficult again.
हाँ, but हो
Yes.
जाएगा. But yeah, but you're absolutely right. It is for XNOR XOR gate. This is the ideal
As
way to
inputs are
design it.
complement, so yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Any
Okay,
other
sir.
gate, it takes more innovation to design them. But yeah, that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Good,
So,
good observation,
sir,
Devji.
are these kind of gates that are like complementary are designed in this fashion? Because sir, before midsem I was very trying hard to let's say design a complex gate using static CMOS, and I was neither was able to match the logic, means take out the value of logical efforts of every inputs, means it was means very difficult. So
Yeah, अभी भी यहाँ देखो, if you look at it, the logical effort of A and B is very different.
yes sir.
B's logical effort is twice that of A.
Yes sir. Yes sir. B is
है ना?
connected to 4.
Yeah. No, B is connected to 2 and A is connected to 1. There is B bar and A bar.
Yes sir.
है ना? So logical effort is not matched over here.
Okay.
But you've saved lots of area. You wanted both the polarities. You saved lots of area.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes,
if,
Vaishnav.
if you want to make a logical effort analysis on this, should we take A and A bar as separately, sir, or can I take A connected to an inverter? What are we supposed to do exactly, sir, in that? Are we supposed to take A and A bar as two different inputs, or as the same input?
For this particular gate, there are two different inputs, no?
Yes, sir. And in some other gate, we might end up using A bar even in a complex gate, for suppose.
Yeah, that is
Even
fine.
in that, we are supposed to take A and A bar as different, right?
If there are two different signals, they are different.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Now, what's the confusion there?
No, sir. I thought I will be using an inverter gate from A to get an A bar. That will become.
If you would design that inside your gate itself, and if you will design that inverter also inside your system, then yes, you have to consider it. Otherwise, no. For example, in a flip-flop, you will have to put some inverters on clock pin. So those inverters load has to be considered when you consider logical effort of a flip-flop on clock.
For an XOR gate, sir, we'll be giving it as A XOR B. We'll be writing it as such. So in the equation, I can't see any A bar or B bar. Okay, if we expand that equation, then definitely we'll get an A bar and B bar.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you putting an equation on silicon, or are you putting a circuit on silicon?
Circuit, sir.
So.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, and you see, this is the response. The 0, as I said, will always come first, and only then the one thing would rise. Okay. Now, after this ratio logic thing, we move to the next design style, which is called pass transistor logic. Some of you are designing your gates projects in pass transistor logic. Who all are doing it in PTL? Put a +5 in the chat window. No one? Huh? No one is designing using PTL, at least of the few people who are in class today. Why is the class strength so low today? Any ideas? Midsem ended last week. So we can probably have a surprise quiz in the class sometime. Let us see. So
maybe there is some document verification today for some people.
Is it the case for some of you?
Some are there.
So some of you are expected to be on campus today. Am I right? Is that the expectation? Yes, because even on Wednesday, the class strength was low. Okay, no problems. So a pass transistor logic says that in the static CMOS and in this ratioed logic also, we had these PMOSs and we had these constraints of how big the PMOS should be, what should be the ratio of the PMOS stack and the NMOS stack and so on. We had all these things. The question comes, can I design only with NMOS transistors? No PMOS at all? Especially, in 1970s and 80s, PMOSs were not even there. So everything had to be designed with an NMOS logic. So what do I do if I have to design with NMOS logic? Because if I have only NMOS logic, then there is no VDD to ground connection also. So there will be no static power consumption. And that is where we talk about pass transistor logic, where NMOSs are used as switches. NMOSs are used as switches, you may say. So what do? You make a switch network and then you simply buffer the output. Okay. So in this kind of a network, an AND gate would be designed simply like this. Are you able to see this? That this is AND functionality. Can you work it out for yourself? Hello? Is this okay?
Yes.
AND functionality is clear. Now the beauty of pass transistor logic is that you can have AND functionality also, and you can have NAND functionality also. So you no longer are limited to inverted output. Suppose in a static CMOS or even pseudo CMOS, if you wanted a AND gate to be implemented, you will first implement a NAND gate, and then you will implement, then you will add an inverter. Over here, that is not required at all. Just two NMOSs, and you have an AND functionality. Then what is the challenge? The challenge, so as we said, you put something and then at the output you put a buffer. The challenge is that now this in, let us say this in goes from 0 to 1. If in goes from 0 to 1, this NMOS turns on, it charges up Vx and output goes to 0. So you get the output as 0. But what about X? X is at what value? What will be the value that X will be at?
So when in is going to
VDD
1,
minus VT, sir.
yeah, VDD minus VT.
VDD minus VT. So what happens to this, the current of this inverter now? What happens to the current of this inverter now?
Sir, what do you mean by current exactly, sir? Output current, sir?
What do you mean by current of an inverter?
Sir, load which it supplies, the current to the load which it's
Only that? Do you mean only that when you talk of current?
current from the VDD, sir.
Yeah. So what happens to the current from VDD over here? That is what my question is.
So sub-threshold starts from PMOS and something more maybe.
Now the PMOS is not
resistive
fully
short
off.
Yes.
So the PMOS current or the sub-threshold current or the static current that will flow will not be 0.
No, I mean, can you, I'm not with this point, why the inverter would be not?
You tell me, I have this inverter. The input is this. So what is happening? This is VDD minus VT. So you're just at the boundary of threshold voltage for the PMOS. PMOS is off, but there is still static current, a significant amount of static current happening. NMOS is fully on, that you are able to see.
Yes.
So NMOS is fully on, PMOS is off, but not fully off. So there is a significant amount of static current coming from here, which would be sunk here. Now the ratio of this just off PMOS, resistance of just off PMOS, and the resistance of a fully on NMOS, that ratio is such that you're still getting an almost zero at the output. That is a different thing. But do you realize that there will be that will be a very high subthreshold current flowing over here? Are you able to see that?
Sir, how can we say that my NMOS is fully on, sir?
You tell me.
Sir, as my input is not when touching the one position,
When
sir.
does NMOS enter into saturation region?
When my okay, VDS should be greater than VGS minus VT, sir.
Is it greater than VGS minus VT?
Sir,
Is it greater than VGS? What
I-
is the VT that you see in this photo?
VT is the between things, sir. matlab X to output between gap.
What is that value?
That's VT, sir.
What is the
According to
value? There is a x-axis is labeled. It is not
one,
that.
sir. One, sir.
Almost 1.
I think, yeah.
So let us say 1.
Yes, sir.
So what is VGS minus VT then? When x is equal to 1.5.
X equal to 1.5. It's 0.5, sir.
So VGS minus VT is greater than 0.
Okay, okay, sir. Yeah, yes, sir.
It is in saturation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See, you have to. Okay, so this is one thing that I'm observing in the class. You're not using your, the logic that has already been taught to you earlier to arrive at a analysis, to do some analysis. You're waiting for either me to analyze it for you or someone else to analyze it for you. This is not right. Please use your knowledge that already you have to quickly do this mental estimation. Na? I have no problem in helping you. But the problem is, if you continuously look at me, when will you become independent? You are more than halfway through the class, through the course. At this point, this value that is this greater than VGS minus VT, should I be helping you solve this?
No, sir.
So please, at least try to become independent. Again, you make mistakes, you ask questions, no problems. Unless you make mistakes, how will you learn? I have no problems with you making mistakes. But at least this analysis you do and then say, sir, मुझे तो ये 0.5, मेरे को तो ये off दिख रहा है. Why are you saying it is on? Instead of saying, why are you saying it is on? You tell me, why do you think it is off? And then we will review again. But you ask me to arrive it for you, that is not right. When will you become independent? So ask as many questions, no problems. Validate as many doubts, clarify as many doubts. But this is not a doubt. This is something you not even tried to solve something and you are asking a question. This is not right. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
So if we have NMOS only logic, while we started, now you remember when we started the PTL, we said there will be no static currents. You remember this? On that slide, we had written no static current. But what did we just see? There is all of a sudden all the static current that is happening there. Are you able to see this? So we started PTL with no static current hypothesis, but we just realized there is going to be static current in PTL also. So what to do now?
So like I was thinking, like instead of like we are implementing our combinational logic using PTL, and then we are using this inverter for the buffer. But if we, okay, but can't we implement this inverter also like in PTL logic itself? Like if we put this simple NMOS and then connect the X to that gate also, like.
Okay, how will you take it to VDD then? Output to VDD then?
I mean, like, so when that X is on, so VDD will be basically we will reach that.
Try. Let us try. Why not? You know, no, this is a good question because this is still exploratory. This is a good question. No problems in handling this question. Let us see. इसी example में let us see what happens when I want to make inverter through a pass gate. So what are we saying? We are saying for an inverter, you would put the input over here, or no? For an inverter, then what you would need to do, you would need to say that either I will put input over here, so input is 1, output should be 0, and I will put 0 over here. It got stuck. Let me go to whiteboard. I'm able to do something. Not able to write. I'm not able to write on the screen. So what are we saying? We are saying that there is a input VDD. Now over here it was a Vx, and we now say that this Vx will put somewhere so that I get the inversion there. I get a full VDD to ground swing there. That is the purpose of putting an inverter. Are you with me on this? Why do we put an inverter in the first place? Because I want a full 0 to VDD swing.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Now tell me how to design a PTL based inverter. I can take this Vx to a gate of an NMOS.
Yes.
And I will store a 0 over here. So my output will go to 0 over like this. But when the output has to go to 1, how will I put this NMOS? What configuration should I use?
Yeah, then we have to put the VDD, but then also it will be reduced. Okay.
Huh? Okay, you're saying VDD. So what is the benefit now?
But then
So if I put VDD over here, what happens now? The gate is at Vx.
Yes, sir.
What will I get over here?
VDD minus.
So 2 threshold dropout will.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you do it?
So one was threshold drop because the earlier and this, okay, yeah, 2 threshold drop.
Are you able to see this?
So why 2 is coming exactly?
So 1 VT drop because of this.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
1 VT drop had already happened here.
Yeah.
है ना?
Yeah, inverter we had to implement it starting.
Yes. So अब क्या करें? So you see, this doesn't work. You will have to use an inverter there.
Yeah, yes, sir.
ठीक है? Oh. Anything else that is not clear yet? Hello? So what is the challenge now? We said that there will be no leakage, but there is leakage happening. Huh? So what to do? We need to design something differently. So we say that so this VT loss thing we just now saw. Okay? You're able to see this? This VT loss is exactly what we saw just now. Any questions on the VT loss part?
So like for the static only, for example, you're saying that we are saying the VDD here as 2.5 volts. But as we, for example, scale to low technology nodes, this leakage would reduce because this VDD is decreasing. So on that also, if we are basically
So you
this
tell me
leakage
you're
would be
reducing the
limited to-
voltage. Okay, so you're reducing the voltage to,
Yes,
let
sir.
us say, 1 volt.
Yes, sir. VDD.
Threshold voltage would be 0.5.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So at B you will have 0.5, which is VDD by 2. What would you make of that?
Yeah.
So in advanced technologies, it actually becomes worse.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we say is, yeah, ye to chalega nahi. So let us put a level restorer. So after the inverter, we put a PMOS, a small PMOS, and we have a level restorer. And this, what does this level restorer do? It ensures that Vx goes to VDD. When V out is 0, Vx goes to 0 to VDD, and therefore there is no static current from the inverter. But what has happened? To make this gate, you already now have 4 transistors. Are you able to see this? So you already have 2 PMOSs now. You wanted to do away with the PMOSs altogether, but already you have 2 PMOSs now. Additionally, this additional transistor MR is like a load on the output, and you again have the same problem of ratio of the strength of MR versus MN. You want to drive something from A, but this MR is on. It will not let your Vx to go to 0. Are you able to see this? Suppose you want to drive X to 0. It was initially 1. If X was initially 1, then out was 0. Out was 0 means MR is fully on. Now you want to drive X to 1, X to 0. You want to sink that current through A. What happens? The amount of current you sink through a much more amount or some amount would be coming from MR. So this is again the same ratio problem that we were looking at in the earlier ratioed logic paradigm. Are you able to see this? Any questions?
So the principle of level restorer is basically the positive feedback kind of, which we
Yes, it's
observed.
kind of half latch. Yes.
Sir, what if we change sizes of MR and MN?
Yeah. So now you have to do the sizing, na? You have, see, in static CMOS, did you ever have to do sizing for your VOL or VOH purpose?
No.
No, you only did sizing for your delay purpose. Over here, we are saying we need to do sizing for functionality itself. Are you able to see this, Aditya?
Yes, sir. So now I will somehow decrease size of MR.
Yes. Now you want MR to be resistive.
Yes.
Huh? So MR has to be as resistive. Just like over there, PMOS had to be, the PMOS in the ratioed logic had to be as small as possible so that you could take as close to 0 as possible. Over here, MR has to be as resistive as possible. It just is there to restore from Vx to VDD, take from Vx to VDD. That is the only purpose. So keep it as small as possible. Typically, this restorer device would be the smallest PMOS that you could design in a technology. Smallest, and that too with large length. Okay.
Sir, having different lengths doesn't have any problem, right?
Having different,
Length.
yeah, if the length is minimum, then the current from MR will be high.
No, I am reducing the width also, right?
Yeah, you've already reduced the width. Yes, you are the minimum width. But if you want it to be still more resistive, what do? You increase the length.
Yeah.
So what I am saying is size it appropriately. हो सकता है you may not need to increase the length, but हो सकता है you need to increase the length.
So, but we generally don't touch the lens. Actually, I have not seen that people touching it.
You're not
Here
doing
will
the
be-
CMOS course. You're not done the analog CMOS course.
Yes, sir.
So what
Like-
length are you using there?
Like here, I'm talking digital. Like most people are talking the width.
So has anyone tied your hands that you don't have to touch length?
No, sir.
Then it is an assumption you're making. I'm telling you, increase the length.
But I think that opening the lens would not only be like we're not going to deal with many things will change. I think so.
Yeah, let them. What all will change? Chalo, let's look at that. What all will change if you increase the length?
First of
All.
all, everything, the power also will change.
Which power?
I mean, dissipation, power dissipation also will get impacted. I think so.
Yeah, which power dissipation? Static or dynamic? We know everything now. We know all the different static power is gate leakage, drain leakage, junction leakage. We know all those components also. So tell me which one. If you increase the length, which power would increase?
Switching one, I think.
Which switching? In this particular circuit, which switching power would increase? The switching of out, because you've added an additional capacitor on out. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Huh? So to लिखा भी हुआ है slide पे, है ना? So that will increase. So what has length got to do with it? Anyways, it was this MR you are putting. You increase the length by 10%, that capacitance increased by further 10%. So it's a minuscule change in overall power. But probably you are not now worried about ratio logic design. Your overall delay may reduce. That can happen.
Yes.
If you make MR more resistive, then A to X transition, A to X movement will be much faster, because now MR is not really playing much role. It is only playing a role very slowly so that Vx does not remain at VDD minus VT level. Vx gets precharged to VDD, and that it can do at leisure. Output is already there. Are you able to see this? Devjit?
Sir, one thing just I wanted to ask that from X to the gate of MR, there would be always some inherent delay because there is an inverter. Now
Yes.
let's say my input was A1, then I suddenly switch to 0. Then for some time, won't we be observing a short between VDD and A?
यही तो बात कर रहे हैं इतनी देर से देवजीत. Why do you want MR to be small?
Oh.
This is exactly what we are talking about.
So then dynamic power would be increasing again.
Yeah, it would increase. It would take some extra time to, because MR ka current has to be sunk through A. That is not just dynamic power. All the current of MR in that period will have to be sunk through A.
Okay.
So if this MR is very large, then you will never be able to write 0 on X. यही तो बात कर रहे हैं.
Sir, the thing is actually in static CMOS, we never observed a short between input pin and supply pin. So
Yes. So see the
that's
challenge here. So this is a big challenge over here. Now your input pin, you cannot control it also. You see?
affected by supply, yes.
Yes. You see, this is such a big challenge. So
Yes.
later you will see, as we move forward, you will see that inputs, at least chip level inputs or block level inputs, can never come to pass transistor logic. Not allowed. Because some other circuit is driving, and over here you have put PTL, and this PTL logic, because of the virtue of it being PTL, starts to backdrive the inputs. The
Yes, sir.
system would
Slope
go,
will go bad, right?
everything will go haywire.
Yes, yes. Understood.
So no macro level inputs can ever be driven or can ever be taken to a PTL logic. Simply not allowed. You will see this in detail later. But so I'm happy that you've taken us to that point, but is this level restorer concept clear? Because we will use this in dynamic gates also.
So just here, so for example, all the techniques that we have studied, like the logical effort, we won't be able to apply here also.
No,
It was like
no. Logical effort is for static CMOS. These are techniques we are just trying to save area. Once you've done everything else, now you say, okay, let me recover area. So some places you say, okay, I will use this PTL. Some places you will say, I will use this DCVSL and all those things.
but here we are saving the area equivalent to only 2 transistors.
Yeah, वो भी नहीं हो रहा है.
वो भी नहीं होगा.
है ना? So, but see, in this particular, you're just talking about one gate, then yes. But if you think of a mux, so see, this is the impact of restorer sizing. If the restorer is very large, then this is where your output is. But if the restorer is small enough, then it works. Okay. So this is okay. What you need to really look out for is that if you have two inverters, for example, driving this particular gate, there could be current paths that could form between them. Okay. So it's not easy. You have to be extremely careful when you use PTL. That is why I said these inputs cannot be coming from outside the macro. If you really have these two inverters, the input should be like coming here. Then whatever current it is, you will be able to characterize within your valid verification process itself. Okay. So what do? We had this VT drop and everything. To avoid VT drop, you instead of pass gates, you use transmission gates. Now what happens? Whether the input is 0 or 1, you will be able to transmit A to B. At one point of time, NMOS will be on. At another point of time, PMOS will be on. Are you able to see this? Instead of ETL, use transmission gate logic. Hello? So now you no longer need
This is
level
by adding
restorer.
one more transistor, right?
Yeah, but you no longer need the level restorer. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's
Huh? You no longer need the level restorer, and just to get, you do not even actually need to put the inverters there. If you do not have to drive a very large load, you just wanted to put the inverter just so that you have a clear 0 and 1 output, you no longer need that inverter also. So this is better.
so then why choose pass transistor logic?
I'm sorry?
Then why do we choose pass transistor logic? We can
Because
go
in
with
some places, pass transistor would work.
no, but transmission is better than
Yeah, but
Yeah,
at some places, in some places, you only need to transmit a 0. For example, in the bit lines of a memory, when you want to write into the memory, you only transmit a 0. That is the only transition that you are interested in when you want to write into the memory. So why then use a transmission gate? Why waste area? Area is gold. Are you able to see this?
so it depends on application which I will be using.
Yes. So all these exotic styles, skewed gates, asymmetric gates, symmetric gates, all these exotic styles, this ratioed logic, PTL, all these exotic styles are to be used only on specific use cases. But when you have those specific use cases, you should have the library, you should have the mental space to say, okay, I have studied about this. Let me use this logic here. That is why we are discussing this in the class. Are you able to see this? Hello?
Yes, sir.
And ये
हम्म?
ट्रांसमिशन ने तो इसने तो सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर दी पीटीएल वाली।
सारी नहीं करी, सारी नहीं करी, एक और प्रॉब्लम आएगी। सो कंसिडर फॉर एग्जांपल, यस, काफी सारी कर दी। इफ यू हैव अ ट्रांसमिशन गेट बेस्ड मल्टीप्लेक्सर, you can actually get a very good multiplexer out of it very quickly, no challenges. A transmission gate XOR is also very dense. Just look at it. Be careful. This is not ground. This is B bar. This is not VDD. This is B. Huh? These appear to be very nice designs, but realize that these A and B are now signals. So this B is not stable. B bar is not stable at 0. This B bar might also be rising or might just be falling. So the delays are not in your control at all. This looks to be a very dense design for a XOR gate, but try implementing it, try characterizing it, and you're in for a toss. Unless you have the world of time, you can't use this design.
So even if it is in the middle of some design, then I can control the signals. I can control the logic. Nothing can be controlled.
Yeah. ठीक है? So transmission gates के साथ ये देखो कि let us assume that there is a huge series of transmission gates that I have. What do I essentially have then? I have a large RC network, and my delays degrade humongously. So what do we need to do? We need to put buffers intermittently. Okay? We need to put these buffers intermittently. Otherwise, this is a very huge R equivalent that you will see. See, each R in itself is small, but because you have a multitude of these R's, it's like a stack of PMOSes or a stack of NMOSes. So you either need to size these transmission gates up significantly, or you just simply put buffers after, say, 5 stages or 10 stages or whatever is appropriate for you for that particular technology. Okay? So transmission gate ने बहुत सारी problem solve कर दी, but not everything. Are you with me?
So these
And what's the
buffers would be
signal
CMOS
issue?
buffers, right?
Yes, this will be a regular CMOS buffer, 2 inverters.
Okay.
But you still save lots of CMOS areas, lots of logic area. Any questions here? यार आज मजा नहीं आ रहा है. Why are you guys not participating, not speaking? Nothing is happening. Friends,
Yes, sir.
what's happening? No response today. So if you have this kind of a transmission gate chain, then what do? You can actually calculate the delay. So if there is no buffer, then this will be the kind of delay, because the total number of resistance will be n into, you add all those resistances. But if you put in a buffer, then you will come to some optimal number. There is some delay of the buffer and then limited delay of the chain. So you arrive at an M optimal, total number of stages after which you should put a buffer. Okay? Are you able to see this?
I mean, like, I think that where exactly are we using these kind of these esoteric kind of circuits? Because They are
So
saving
transmission
area.
gate based circuits could be used at many places because they will help you implement even complex logic with lesser number of transistors. Okay, it's like instead of ETL, you're using switches of transmission gates.
So
Okay.
but then the early issue was that ना कि हमारे signals हैं अब सारे हर जगह पे. तो सर वो issue तो मुझे बहुत ही सारा लग रहा है कि that is a very very big issue, and I think.
Yeah, but that was for the XOR gate. No, don't get confused. That was only for the XOR gate. For other gates, it will not be like that. It can be, but not much. XOR gate was a challenge. XOR gate was designed like the XOR gate as designed like that appears to be very dense, but it's a pain. It's a pain to design it.
No, but sir, like for the other gates itself, for example, my suppose the B signal and the B bar signal, it would be coming from some other kind of logic. So then it would also be facing some kind of degradation, and the slew of that signal would change. And so how would I be able to characterize that? Okay, I will get this kind of my input signal at this transmission gate.
So again, I would say, रुको, उसके लिए अभी भूल जाओ. जो हम उसकी बात कर रहे थे, you know, the thing that we were talking about in terms of what do you say? When we were talking about it in terms of so when we were अभी थोड़ी देर पहले when we were talking about it in terms of XOR gate,
Yes,
that
sir.
is a different thing. All other gates you'll still be able to manage fairly well. Okay. So if we go to a buffered transmission gate chain, do you realize that there is a simple method to arrive at what is the optimal number of stages after which you want to put a buffer? Is this thing evident to you?
Yes, sir.
Great. So with that, we kind of come to a close of this ETL kind of logic design also. Okay. And now we start with what is called as dynamic logic. So what do you understand by dynamic logic? So I will just introduce it now because it's almost time. So we'll close the class. But what do you mean by dynamic logic?
Dynamic means something is moving.
Something is?
I think something is moving, something is movement. It's not like.
Sir, when we are using the clock.
When we are using a clock, yes. So the dynamic circuits, for example, so let us look at it like this. In static circuits, what were we doing? At every point of time, except in switching, output is connected to either VDD or ground via a low resistance path because there is a pull-up stack and a pull-down stack. In dynamic logic, the output may actually be connected or be left floating. So you are depending on storage of output on some capacitance. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that you have, for example, a dynamic gate and you have a clock also going to it. Now, when Ck is equal to 0, then what happens? This PMOS is on, this NMOS is off, output goes to 1. Okay? This phase is called the pre-charge phase. Now, when you want to evaluate the output of A, B, and C of this combinational gate, when A, B, and C values are fixed, then what happens? Ck goes to 1. Ck goes to 1 means what would happen? The PMOS would turn off, the NMOS would turn on, ME would turn on, MEvaluate would turn on, and now you will evaluate the dynamic gate. And once evaluated, suppose let us say that C is equal to 0 and B is also equal to 0. So the evaluation says that out has to be 1, but CLK is 1. So out is now being left floating. Are you able to see this? Out is not any longer driven to 1. Out is left floating. That is where it is called as dynamic logic. Are you able to see this?
So when clock was 1, then the lower NMOS will be like open switch, sorry, close switch, and so I will have a path.
Yes.
And if A, B, C are 1, then okay.
No. I'm saying when C is equal to 0 and B is equal to 0.
Okay.
When A, B, C are 1, then तो yes, 0 चला जाएगा, कुछ problem नहीं है. Output is driven to 0.
Yeah.
So we consider, so as designers, we have to look at the worst case. What is the worst case?
कि केवल एक ही, okay.
है ना? The worst case is that your A is 1, B is 0, C is 0. So there is some charge sharing that has happened between these two nodes, and there is no way to even recover that charge. Are you able to see that?
So ये मैं fault delay के केस में देख रहा हूँ ना?
Yes. Fault delay नहीं. There was no change in output expected. If B is 0 and C is 0, there was no change in output expected.
Yes, sir.
But out is now floating. Out is not driven to 1 because the CLK is 1. And there's no path to ground. It was not meant to be, because if B is equal to 0 and C is equal to 0, then there was no path to ground. There was no, it was not meant to be there. है ना? So what are we saying? So अब इसमें ध्यान दो. If let us say there is a glitch on B. B was 0, but there is a glitch that comes on B. A is 1. What happens now?
They will be
This out will discharge. This out will discharge. And now there is no way to recover out. Now, until the clock goes back to 0 again, until my pre-charge phase starts again, there is no way to recover out. Are you able to see this? So what are we saying? We are saying that there are few conditions that are there on the output. That once the output of a gate is discharged, it cannot be charged again. The inputs to the gate can make at most one transition during an evaluation. So if we're talking about a glitch, that glitch input going to 1, it discharged the gate, and now the 0 input going back to 0 will not charge it again. So inputs, so glitches are absolutely unacceptable in dynamic gates. Then
it may not go to 0 actually. No? If my glitch is very small, my output may reduce, but it not go to 0 directly.
So what do you mean by a glitch?
For a short pulse, I have a 1 to 0. It goes to 1 and 0.
So short is an assumption. For me, glitch is any spurious transition.
Okay.
Consider a adder. In the adder, ripple carry adder. These CIs just keep on getting evaluated.
Yes.
So the CI can go to 1 for a reasonable amount of time.
Yes.
But it is still a glitch.
Yes.
So short was your assumption, is it not?
Yes, sir.
If I have a very big device, even a short glitch can lead to discharge.
Yes. Yes.
So again, as a designer, always look at the worst case, failure mode, when you are designing, when you are verifying. Are you able to see this?
So we don't want to keep it floating. We have to make it somehow to not keep it floating.
Yes. So that is a challenge that we as designers have. So what do you think we can do? We did something in the static gates. What can we do? We had the signals Vx going to VDD minus VT or something like that. To do it, to connect it to VDD, we added something. What did we do? अभी थोड़ी देर पहले.
Output buffer.
Output buffer. Vx के लिए.
Restorer.
Level restorer. After the inverter, we said that let there be a feedback. We made a half latch. So the level restorer restored the level from Vx to VDD. Over here, what can we do? We can also put a restorer over here, so that if there is some charge that has gone because of a glitch or something, it can be recovered. Are you able to see this? So what are the properties of dynamic gates? First is that the total number of transistors is n plus 2 versus 2n for static CMOS. Then you get full swing outputs. We're not worried about ratioed logic just yet. You will get full 0 and full 1s. So non-ratioed sizing. And do you realize that as soon as you reduce the number of transistors that an input goes to, you've reduced the logical effort. Since you've reduced the logical effort of the design, the overall path delays reduce very, very significantly. So there is reduced input capacitance. There is reduced output capacitance also. And therefore, overall delays are expected to be less. Additionally, now these are positives. What is also happening is that even if there is no static path, the problem is that power consumption in these gates will be higher. Why? Let us consider a case that, let's consider a case of a static NAND. So this is the last thing that we are doing. So let's consider a case of a static NAND. Static means a 2-input NAND. A, B, CK, and CK. Okay. Now in the previous cycles, A and B were both 1. So what they had done, this output Y was discharged. But when CK went to 0, what happened? This output got free charged. A and B did not toggle. When the next clock came, this output will discharge again. Now, there was no toggle in A and B. Had it been a static inverter, a static NAND gate, would there have been any power consumption?
No, sir.
No, sir.
But over here, I consume power. So my activity factor has at once increased very significantly. Are you able to see this? In every cycle, I'm discharging and charging, discharging and charging.
Sir, I mean, because activity factor of the clock is the highest, and here it is controlled by the clock itself. So it will be the most, I think.
Yes.
Massive, yes.
Hana?
Yes,
So are you able to see this?
Area increase, area बच गया, but power बेकार.
Power बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई.
Yes.
Additionally, as soon as there is some glitch on the input signals, even a small glitch on the input signals, as we just saw, the output, the reliability of the output starts to suffer. Because once it discharges, there is no way to bring it back. So in the next class, we'll look at these restorer wala concepts and the other concepts which are used so that we are able to use dynamic gates appropriately in our designs. ठीक है, we'll close the class here. We're already at 1:30. ठीक है?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can we keep that clock NOS, NMOS first and then PDA network?
Hmm. Okay.
Because
What difference will it make?
because at the output capacitance will be reduced, I think.
Okay. No problem. You can do that. We don't usually do that because we don't want clock. See, as soon as clock toggles, there will be noise on the output again. So we don't want that also to happen, but it's okay. You can do that. That's not usually done though.
Sir,
But we
would
can
the
do that.
path delay get increased, sir, in that case? Because my clock is getting in between.
Yeah. See, in this gate, clock has to come first, and then other signals will be evaluated. Okay. But if you put it like that, clock on the top, even then it's okay, because as soon as clock comes, other inputs have already been evaluated on the NMOS stack, and you would give an output. You can try that. It's not usually done. Think why. What could be the failure mode there? Okay. So when we meet next in the next class, we'll check about these. Why this failure mode? Your next quiz is on Monday. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, okay. I think we close the class here, and we meet on next Wednesday now. Next Friday is your project presentation, first project presentation.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Sir, regarding
All the best, guys.
Sir, hello.
Yes, Devjit.
Sir, regarding project, I had one small question. Sir, in non-complex implementation, sir, last class you told that the whole circuit needs to be broken into NAND and inverter, something like that.
For?
Non-complex implementation. For example, AOI 221.
Yeah. So I did not say NAND and inverter. I said implement that logic by using regular gates, 2 input gates, instead of one complex gate. And really implement that logic by using 2 inputs gates or 3 input gates. That was what I said.
Sir, so the thing is that we have taken up the dynamic logic implementation or complex. So while comparing with the non-complex design, each individual gates also needs to be dynamic, right? That would become very difficult, right?
Why?
Sir, you only told last class that there are cascading issues and things like that. So
We'll discuss now.
okay.
We will discuss those cascading issues. Next class itself we will discuss. Don't worry.
Sir, so anything regarding non-complex design is expected in the first presentation?
I think they were asking you to show the schematic.
Not layout, right?
No. I don't think so.
In the final
Layout
also.
only. Sorry?
In the final presentation also layout.
Final presentation, yes. You have to do the layout and post layout simulations.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. All the best, guys. See you. See you on. I will see you on Monday evening for the office hours. Yes. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.